I've had problems. I put it back up. My bad.
All right, no problem.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Deltia.
No,
Nope.
we need to know when that's down. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Am I read it now? We're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna talk now. We're gonna move off abilities. We're gonna talk about itemization, which is honestly one of my favorite things in MMOs because it's rewards. Everyone likes getting shinies.
We really do. Okay.
Yeah, shinies are fun.
Itemization. Undaunted Monster Helms. Undaunted
No!
Monster Helms will drop off the last boss in veteran dungeons, while shoulders drop from the Undaunted repeatable quests.
Oh.
These items add additional set bonuses and procs that will have interesting effects which synergize with the player's abilities.
All right, I'm gonna interrupt you right there. I'm gonna stop you. These are gonna be fun to add because
So cool.
these little things like 5-set bonuses are great. You go for a 5-set on your main thing. Great, I got it. But now you can play with these fun abilities,
So cool.
which we'll talk about. Go ahead, now continue.
Okay. These helm shoulder combos have 1- and 2-piece bonuses. Some examples of 2-piece bonuses include Daedroth. Adds a chance to summon a Daedroth when you use light and heavy attacks. Spider Daedra.
Wow.
Summons a Spider Daedra which snares and deals damage over time to enemies in the area. Dwemer. Adds a chance to summon a Dwemer Centurion when you use abilities which will channel a beam, which restores your magicka, stamina, or health as a random chance. Clanfear, Lamia Queen, and
Yeah.
Drogue King. At first, these items will drop from the last boss in veteran dungeons, but adding these to normal mode dungeons is on their to-do list.
All right, the specific builds and stuff will want to go after very specific things.
Yep.
Like as a damage dealer like a stamina damage dealer, that Daedroth sounds like it would be great for me because I'm using light and heavy attacks a lot. But maybe somebody else, like a caster or whatever, or a healer would want Dwemer things for a chance to summon, restore magic, stamina, health. Those are awesome. Or a tank would love those. You know what I mean? Like you can make builds and go, this benefits me most. I really like it. This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Just fun little things. I want to collect them all. Like Pokemon. I'm collecting them all.
I would love the Daedroth one, but not the Spider Daedra one.
So you're saying that's all you're going to wear? Spider Daedra.
But no.
All right, Deltia, let's get her a Spider Daedra.
No.
Make her wear it. I'm actually gonna log into her account and get the Spider Daedra on her, and when she logs in, she'll be wearing it. She won't ever even be able to log into her character.
I'll never be able to look at my gorgeous character again. It'll just bring me nightmares.
Res Writer in chat's like, who wouldn't want to summon a Daedroth? I mean, seriously.
Exactly. See? It just sounds amazing. So then I can have Fluffy, I can have Pookie, and I can have Daedroth.
These are things I'm talking about. These are fun things to have in a game. Not just, oh, great, this item increases my health and magicka by so much. Yay. Or increases my crit by a little bit. Yay. These are fun things.
You sound so enthused.
Well, these are fun things that you want to go after. These are things that people like, this is what I want. This is going to be great. General itemization changes, gold drop rates, more variance in gold drop per enemy. Some enemies might drop no gold, but others may have larger amount. I like that.
I'm so sad.
You want to talk about lore breaking? Why in the world would a wolf have 7 gold and a magic fire ring? Honestly.
Sometimes them animals like to swallow soul stems, and they swallow sacks of gold when they're attacking, random people and bandits. It happens. They just secretly have gold shoved up their butts. So when you search their butt sack, you gather it.
I see.
See, that's just what happens.
I see. All right. AVA rewards for the worthy will now include gold rewards. Good ways to get income. That's fine. And the role of crafting. They're figuring out ways to make achieving top-tier crafted gear more of a challenge. Thank you, Divines. I want crafted gear to be good, but I don't... You know what sucks? Like, the way, when VR14 came out, there was a rush on gear. But it's like, yeah, just add one more void stoning it and give me some more tempering owl. Done. There needs to... as a master crafter, making things challenging to get, which means that I can then sell them for more. You know, like I can make bank off of crafting top tier crafted gear because not everyone can do it. You know? What do you have to say, Thais? You're kind of laughing there.
Oh, no, I'm laughing at chat. I was not listening to a word you just said.
Oh, okay. All right. What do you think?
Well, share a story.
Okay, well, I said Fluffy, Pookie, and then my day drop. So Luna TES Fangirl said Fluffy, Pookie, and I think you need a cuter name for your day drop. So I said Paul. Paul the day drop. So it'll be Fluffy, Pookie, and Paul.
Not Franklin?
Nope, Paul.
Okay. Well, I'm going to name mine Franklin.
Oh.
So anyway, role of crafting, Deltia. The working ways of making top-end crafted gear more of a challenge. What do you think about that?
I think that's great, but there has to be a reason that people want it. If the drop sets are ultimately the most powerful, there's no point in crafting. If you make it, now I think when they get the Imperial City straightened out, and then they have that where it only opens up for your faction, that's going to be cool. And they have to have like the 2 Mundus Stones. That's a really good change because there's a major incentive for that, to get that. That's what makes crafting valuable. And adding traits, great idea, because then people have to spend 30 days getting that trait. And it's really going to make the crafters viable versus not.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think my current problem is the crafted gear now is too easy to get, okay? And it's viable up to, like, some people don't even take the trials gear because it doesn't have the stats they want. So, I don't know. I think top-end crafted gear should be on par with raiding gear, but I think it should take raiding-like effort in order to make it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Read this next section for me. Trade updates.
Okay. Reinforced, ornate, intricate items. Are you okay?
Yes, just continue.
Making these traits more rewarding. You looked like you were in pain. Gosh. Making these traits more rewarding when they are used for their intended purpose. Exploration. Adding a more combat useful bonus to grant increased experience / VP gain from killing enemies, as well as discovering new locations. Charged. They are working on some ideas to make this more effective. Weighted. Changing the way that haste works in general to reduce the cooldown of abilities. Sharpened. With the addition of the champion system, the armor and spell resistance of monsters will be increased to be more in line with player values, so this trait will be more effective.
More or less, they're making the other traits more desirable, so not everyone is taking precise, divines, and infused. I think that's the current problem, is that's all people do right now, because those are clearly the best.
Yep.
See, I would actually use reinforced because I'm in awe.
Oh, thank
No.
you.
Finish your thought.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
But he was laughing at
That's
me.
because he did the math. The problem is with the way the game currently is, and with the champion system be a little different, reinforced is practically worthless because it's so easy to hit soft cap even in light armor.
Plus, a lot of abilities give you soft cap armor anyways. Immovable, lightning form for the Sork. Most people are using an ability that makes you max armor anyways.
I understand what you're saying.
If I wasn't doing the math, then that's something that in my head I would use to make myself not as squishy. Because it would make sense, right?
That thought is what people should think.
Right.
Like that is the thought you should have. The problem is game mechanics don't support that currently, and that's why they're trying to buff it to make it so your thought process makes sense.
I understand that.
Because your thought process is right. That's how people should be thinking. But when you do the math and realize, well, technically speaking, I can get to cap and not even need this, why would I? You know, that's not your fault in the thought process. You're right. The game mechanics are broken. That's the problem.
I don't remember what charged does.
I think it makes your enchantments on your weapons recharge faster.
Okay.
Well,
because there's
you
a
have more charges.
ICD.
Oh, more charges.
Are you sure that's it? Because I'm pretty
99%.
sure because there's an ICD on charges, like internal cooldown. So like when you do like a fire, like your thing does fire, it can't do it again on the next hit.
He said more charges.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
so
yeah.
instead of recharging a soul gem every once in a while, you have more. Like, it's completely worthless.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though.
I really think it's the internal cooldown, but I could be wrong, too. Neither here nor there, no one really uses it.
Okay.
All right, so there's new item sets, which we talked about earlier. The Veteran City of Ash, there'll be an item set, which is fun. People like item sets. They do. Item sets are fun. They're fun things to get. New crafting set, Twiceborn Star, the Undaunted, which we're excited about. They're buffing the trial sets, which I'm going to say this right now. The trial sets are great, but I think depends how much they buff it. If they're so much better that crafting can't keep up with it, you're going to cause a problem with crafters, because I think crafters should have a role in endgame. I think it'd be great if crafters could pull trait stones out of trials gear and go, oh, you got a reinforced trait? Well, what would you like in there? I can pull it out.
That would be a really cool idea. That's a really cool idea.
You got to make it hard to attain. Like, maybe they need a special rare item to do it, like how they introduced the Nurncrux, which is kind of rare to get. Maybe you need a rare item, like a special, I don't know, whatever it is, to pull it out. But that would make the item sets better. Thais, what do you got to say?
I actually didn't know until you mentioned it earlier that they don't drop legendary. That you have to go to a crafter to do that. Which, even if the trial sets are buffed, they still won't be legendary. You're still going to have to go to your friend who's maxed with all the passives, who gets all these items from dismantling, to be like, hey, I kind of need you to buff this up for me a little bit.
True, but the reason why they're saying trial sets as of right now are like 3 or 4% better, like in stat wise. Like the armor's a little higher.
Well, that just makes me think, I wonder why they're buffing them.
Well, they're probably making them stand out a little bit more, because there's still not really a reason to pick the trials sets over the crafted sets and the crafted bonuses, except for in very specific situations. Because again, you can't pick what you could get. I don't know, reinforced as a trait, and no one needs reinforced.
Yeah, you get exploration.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my favorite, exploration off a VR14 piece.
Yeah,
that's useful. Yeah, I know that was a big complaint with Dragonstar Arena. You get like VR14 pieces. Oh, this is so exploration. Well,
exploration. Yeah, there's that.
More experience when discovering new areas. You look like I'm VR14. I have all the maps explored already. This is about as worthless as you can get. And also, one of my favorites, ability-altering weapons.
That's sick.
They're going to add an ability-altering weapon for every active weapon ability in the game eventually. And they'll now give players stats and be visually represented by unique weapons based on monster effects.
Wow.
I saw the one that increases cleave, or does something funky with cleave, and I want it.
You saw the weapon?
Well, I saw the stat on it. No, I didn't see it.
I was like...
I hope they have unique skins.
Tomorrow...
I'm tired of all the skins.
Tomorrow I am logging on that PTS right away. I want to see if that crap's on there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the one thing I really liked from the Yukuden set, was that it wasn't just a Redguard sword. It had a unique skin.
And it looks awesome. That armor looks awesome. Yeah.
I like the crafted gear that the crafted gear has. Like, you can make specific looks, but I like that the special sets have unique skins that's not just rehashed. That way, when you see someone with a Yukuden sword, you go, I know exactly what that is, because no one else can get it.
Yeah. Now, can I say something really...
Absolutely.
Really, really bad?
Okay.
Sometimes I don't take drop sets just because I don't want to look derpy.
You know what? Looking good while being awesome is like 90% of this.
It is. Yes, I agree.
So that's the non-mid-maxer in me speaking there. But you have
the
to
non-mid-maxer in me is talking. I love the look of heavy armor.
Oh,
but I want a DPS character, but if I wear heavy armor, I'm gimping myself.
Yep.
I don't want to wear medium armor because I can't find any medium armor that looks as good as like full plate Imperial. I love the look of that.
It looks sick. It does.
But that's why, and there's a question where they ask if they're going to add a transmog system.
What's that?
They're the ability to take appearance of some items and place it over your other items. Okay. So it's kind of like how the costumes work, but you'd be able to, say you get the Yukuden chest piece and you really like it, but you're like wearing a crafted set, and you're like, well, I really want the look of that, but the stats of this, you can do that.
What'd they say?
they're thinking about adding it. No plans currently. Like, it's not actively being worked on, but they do have it on their wish list.
I would enjoy that. There's a bunch of different chess pieces that I've seen that look really nice.
I forget, was it Deltia or it might have been you we were talking to? I can't remember. We were talking about how to utilize the costume feature.
I said that, yeah.
Yeah, it was you. They need to add an ability that you can put on armor, make it look the way you want, and then be like, create costume, and it creates a one-item costume that throws it on that you can just use your costume. That's a perfect transmog system.
And it could be a crafting thing, so only high-level crafters could do it.
You know how much money crafters could make? Final Fantasy.
Joss, I hope you're listening to this episode.
Oh, yeah. Final Fantasy has a glamour system where you can make glamours to make gear look like other gear. Only high-end crafters can make it, and they make bank off selling those crystals, because everyone wants to look how they want to look.
You got to play dress-up. I play dress-up for like 15 hours once I get to the end game. I'm like, I don't like this little shoe, and, you know.
Yeah, well, look at the die system. How long do we spend with the dies?
Hours to this day still.
The ability to make a costume, like putting on all the armor and weapons and go, make costume, and then be able to put that on, then switch your gear around, that would be awesome.
What about jewelry crafting? You could combine that into something. So like an appearance thing or something. I think that would, but yeah. Anyways, we're rambling. I'm rambling.
Like jewelry crafting, you can be like a costume orb.
Maybe. Yeah, anything like that. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to look over here. They had some gameplay itemization questions, but I didn't really think any of this is really all that interesting. Because like some of it was like the possibility of increasing the action bar capacity beyond 5 abilities.
No.
And Zoss says it's about meaningful choices, and Zoss is working on buffing some of the less used and niche abilities to be more powerful, but they like having players face trade-offs in the way they set up their characters for any given fight. They're considering adding some kind of loadout manager, thank you, built into the UI. Yeah, Wicked already has it, but they are talking about making one automatically done, and I think that's great. Into the UI, make it easier for players to swap out sets in between combat. I like the idea of being able to, I would like the idea of having all my abilities. It would clutter my bar, but I also understand the idea of having to make meaningful... We talked a little bit earlier about the changes to two-hand. I'm sitting there going, what am I going to drop in order to get these new abilities? Like, I know I'm going to need them, but what am I going to drop? What can I sacrifice in order to do this?
Well,
and that's what you should do.
The traditional MMOer in me says, when I first played this game, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I have to only pick 5 abilities and then 1 ultimate. I'm like, I hate this. I hate it. Because I'm used to clicking 30 buttons in a sequence, And then you get in here and you realize it's the best thing ever because no Dragon Knight is really the same. They really aren't. From the morphs to whatever, they had the calculation on, how diverse you can be, but it really feels like when you go up against a Dragon Knight, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know if they have these 5 abilities. Yeah, they probably have a couple of them, but you know what I mean? I love that feeling of your character is really unique.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Faith?
This is the only thing that I despise.
What?
Wait a minute. Doesn't WildStar limit your abilities too?
You have like 9. You have more. You have more slots, and you also. That's only for your active abilities. You have like 4 more on the side, which are for different abilities. Like you're able to have more though, and in that game you can switch between skill sets really quickly. You can have like 5 or 6 different ones that you can switch on the fly.
Do we have a beeper? Like, like where someone says a swear word and it beeps it out? You're gonna
I'm going to beep out. I'm going to take that out.
WildStar is the now...
You're the one who asked.
The game that must not be named.
But you're the one... Anyway.
No, I'm going to Fusro Dot. So you'd be like, what about Fusro Dot?
WildStar.
I don't care. I'm the editor. I'll remove all of it.
But that's the only thing that I can't stand. I hate not having... all my abilities.
Well, of course
Why?
You do.
Why can't I have them all? I want to be able to choose from
Choices.
all of my abilities. That's why you give me all these abilities. Like, why? I don't understand.
It's like League of Legends. It's deck building. I mean, that's how the game's designed. And technically speaking, even games like Guild Wars 2 technically only gave you 4 abilities. You had all your weapon abilities, but technically you already have weapon abilities in this game with your left, right, like... your light attacks, your heavy attacks, your interrupts. those are technically abilities that you have. So if you add each one, light, heavy, block, your interrupts, you got 4 abilities right there. Technically, you got 9 abilities plus an ultimate plus if you think about all the stuff you can do there. You're dodging.
But sometimes when you're fighting, sometimes when I'm fighting, if I'm surrounded by enemies, I'm spamming one button. Because when I'm surrounded by enemies, only one attack will work. Because I can only have one AoE move on my bar. What if there's another AoE move that I want to use? I can't have it on the bar.
But then you have to make a hard choice.
Sometimes I get tired of using impulse.
You have to make a hard choice. You have to make hard choices, and that's why this is unique.
But that's what drives me crazy. I shouldn't have to make those choices because there's so many skills in the game. Just let me use them all. I want them all on my bar.
I'd be having a 200 bar. I'd have my whole screen would be abilities. And
I would just have an ability. That's all you're sitting there. You can't even see the game anymore. It's just abilities.
Well, that's like how it... WoW, you can have all your abilities.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy, you can have all your abilities.
They also don't have and you know how many bars you can have in Final Fantasy? They got like 8 bars. If you have them all on your screen, you can't even see half the stuff.
Who would need all those bars? No one.
I gotta tell you right now, I think ESO has way more abilities than either Final Fantasy or WoW does.
Well, the problem with those other games is it's cookie cutter. Everyone runs this certain spec, 31 points in this tree, and you know exactly what abilities they have and what they should be running. And then if you don't,
but that's what people do on here anyway. When people put up their builds,
builds are specific, but they're also when you build nobody, if they're smart, should put a build saying I do everything with this build because it's not true.
You can't.
You can't do everything with all.
I don't change my sorcerer.
All right, maybe you not want to admit that. Because, perfect example, we were doing, what boss were we doing? It was Fungal Grotto Veteran. We were running with our friend Ark. He's in chat right now.
Ooh, Ark. Arkalicious.
He specifically had to use Inner Beast because the one boss you can't tank, you have to range tank it. He wouldn't use the range taunt for any other fight. He's like, I don't need to. I'd run in, I'd do whatever. But for that particular fight, he couldn't use his ransack. He couldn't get close to it. There are specific fights where you have to do certain things. And that's where I think a loadout manager, you can have a general use build. And all I'm going to say is, even in your Final Fantasy and Warcraft, because I'm going to tell you the same. If I'm questing, I use 3 abilities. Specific or whatever. I have a rotation that I use. Most people come up with a very simple rotation that they do most things with. Great.
Impulse. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm a Sork.
Most people use they have a common thing. On my two-handed guy, I weave in between heavy attacks, cleave, and execute. That's what I do most things with. Okay, standard questing, grinding, killing mobs. That's what I do. But specific other times, I have to change my build up and use abilities that I didn't think I'd necessarily need.
See, it's so funny hearing you say that because I've never had to change any of my abilities. I've never encountered a situation where I went, that ability's gonna have to go. I haven't. There's been no situation.
You also, technically speaking, we've done very limited endgame-ish content. We've done a few veteran dungeons, etc.
Wait till you get into Dragonstar. Dragonstar is so different. It's there's one mechanic where you have to run. Then there's another mechanic where you have to negates a crappy ultimate, and then you're constantly switching between skills and loadouts.
I heard him say negates a crappy ultimate.
Only for specific fights.
For one fight.
I guess I like having all my options in front of me.
I like
having
options.
to choose only 5 things, it hurts me on the inside.
All right, here's one question I did want to pull out here, and I think Zenimax, you are a reread for saying this. The multi-dependency of stamina in combat, is this something that is a concern for the future? Have you considered the possibility of implementing a separate resource pool for defensive actions? And Derp Zenimax goes, stamina users have several advantages when it comes to using defensive actions. They can take those actions more frequently because they're larger pool and have their magic reserves for using defensive or buff abilities. We have seen the suggestions of separate resource pool, but it's not something we are considering for now. Problem is, we're still running out of stamina, period. It's not regenerating fast enough for us to use. You guys are stupid. There, I said it.
Whoa.
I'm calling him out on that one. That was a dumb call. Dumb
Yeah.
call. Gotta point out the striped horse here every once in a while. All right. Let's move on to the next section here because we are moving on. Writing and lore. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because lore and writing is something that is very important to me. But, I mean, in reality, this can be really summed up in very, very short, simple terms. In terms of writing, they talk a little bit about, their writing mechanics and how they do stuff and how they're trying to make visual storytelling and ways to make the world feel real. Fantastic. Meaningful choices are great, there's a lot of meaningful choices when doing questing. If you're just skipping quest text, maybe you don't realize it, but if you've listened to Thais' and I story time at all, you realize we've agonized over certain decisions. I still feel bad that I took the 2 skill points and let Sheolgora take the 1-person spoiler, by the way. But you guys
whoa! Don't be divulging that spoiler.
It's true. It is. That's a tough one.
You have to take the 2 skill points. I did not want to let her. Yeah.
I didn't want to let her either, but I couldn't give up 2 skill points. I don't know if that really shows me as a person.
You're a piece of crap. Yeah, you're just a filthy American that would take money over morals anytime. Go back to the garage.
Power. It was power.
But she seemed so happy to go with him. She just wanted the butterflies.
As much as we tried to rationalize, I know we went down. That was us trying to sugarcoat our bad decisions.
I rationalized
all
it
those people we butchered. They were awful. I think that person forgot to return a video to the video store on time. They needed to die. And it wasn't rewound. That was us just trying to make ourselves feel better for our crappy decision.
Yeah, that's what we rationalize. That's what we do.
Yeah. All right. Now, that being said, when they're talking about lore and how... I love the Elder Scrolls lore. Now, there are... Some people are like, well, and the lore's changed in ESO. I love this one specific term that Lord Schick talks about. It's
Lord
there
who?
is no lore gospel like in Middle-earth or Forgotten Realms. There's not. There's no one correct, this is how the lore is. And the way they explain it, and it's fantastic, and if you go back and play any of the games, you see it. The lore is dependent and told by the NPCs in the game. So you are living the lore of Nirn through the eyes of the NPCs you're dealing with. And it's kind of like playing telephone, the little game Telephone when you're a kid. The story, by the time it reaches you as it passes from person to person, changes and changes. I mean, perfect example of this, and this is actually canon lore from the previous games. Lorcan, which is one of two of the only universally acknowledged deities in the game world, in the intellectual property, that is both despised and loved by different groups of people. Depending on who you talk to, he's either a devil or a saint. And it's all lore-based and canon based on how the different groups of people see his role in creation. Nords see him as a messiah. Elves see him as like a Loki or a trickster. Which is true. That's the best part about TES lore. No one really knows because the lore is told from the point of view of the characters in the game. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And yeah, that's really all I'm going to talk about in the lore because I know, I guess the last word he says here is like, when it comes to writing a new piece of lore, instead of saying that's not Elder Scrolls, we say, here's how we do that in Elder Scrolls. Ultimately, gameplay wins, but lore gets the last word. So everything is taken in with the lore, but the way the lore is written, even in older games, it's all done from a perspective of individual characters and people, and their experiences affect how they see the world. Anyone have anything they want to add on lore in the game? That was that's
your rant.
That was my rant. And honestly, guys, I love the lore of this universe. Probably more. I would defy anyone to say they like the lore or know more about the lore than I do. Like, I really would. I would do a trivia game with this. So I love the lore of Elder Scrolls, but I understand how they write it and stuff like that. It is done from a very interesting perspective, and it makes the world very rich because there are so many varying ideas on the same topic. Everyone knows that Lorcan exists, but no one really knows what he actually did. I'm a Nord. I think he's a messiah. He very well might have been the evil little bastard the elves think he is. I don't know. It's great. I like the chat. Good rant. Oh, and TS Fangirls, each new TS game, in quotes, breaks the lore from the last. Yeah, things change as the story and history is written. No one else has anything to say about lore?
Nope.
I think you cover a library's worth. It's good.
I did find one of the questions humorous. The question was, how do you feel about players who abuse traditional TS lore and incorrectly naming characters? And the answer was, we fully support people having lore-correct names, but we don't force people to do that. For example, we spent months convincing the UI people that they had to allow the GRO and GRA portions of org names to remain uncapitalized.
I think they're specifically talking about not only that, but Argonian names. DeltiasGaming.com for an Argonian name.
Oh, Deltia.
What happened?
The question was
I know,
how
I'm
do
joking.
people abuse traditional lore names, like how, Argonians are named like Stands in Fire. That's what they call themselves.
DeltiasGaming.com. That was my new Argonian name. Is that
Yes, and that was terrible.
And that was an abuse of the lore. But
that was great. Shameless self-promotion.
Yeah.
But that question right there was specifically aimed at you, good sir. Like, that was them looking at you through a scope right now. That's it. All right.
I like my Argonian. Sings in darkness.
Stands in Fire. That was mine. Love Stands in Fire. All right. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Trials, Dungeons, and Arenas, which we're hit on. This is from the content section. Things that are coming soon. Why don't you go ahead and read these?
Okay, let's see. Coming soon in Dungeons. Scaling. Group instances will scale to your group leader's level. Using LFG, the dungeon will be plus or minus 2 levels from the group leader. Balance improvements. Tweaks to mob composition, health, damage, and abilities. Once the champion system comes online, these systems will change again to scale appropriately to the new adjustments. Grouping improvements. Quests in dungeons are shareable, and if you enter the dungeon late, your quest will be advanced to the current stage. Undaunted enclaves. An enclave exists in each capital where normal and veteran dungeon quests are available. Completing optional objectives increases your reward tier.
Excuse me. All right. So let's talk about this. We talked about a little bit. Scaling groups will scale to the group leader's level. That's awesome, including the looking for group. The dungeon will be plus or minus 2 levels of the group leader. That's really cool. I like it. Making dungeons viable. Balance improvements, yes, we know that. Once the champion system comes live, these systems will change again to scale appropriately with new adjustments. Quest and dungeons are shareable. I know that was an issue when we first started the game. Some of the bugs we hit was like if I entered the dungeon first, I picked up the quest, and the guy immediately started talking before you guys entered, you guys couldn't accept it. Like, we'd have to leave, I'd have to drop it, we'd all have to be in, and we have to accept it at the same time. Those were problems. Now being able to share quests is really cool. I like that. And, of course, Undaunted. Love it. Deltia. Let's talk about Undaunted Enclaves. Completing optional objectives increases your reward tier. They're going to have a standard kind of like what were they in Warcraft? The challenge mode dungeons where you got specific bronze, silver, gold ratings. They're adding these into your daily quest where you get better rewards based on your performance. And it's several different things. It's time, deaths, completing additional objectives. Things like this are things you'd have to do. Like, maybe you could only at max if you have no deaths, nothing like that. Maybe you can only pull off a silver rating if you don't take out, like, the additional optional bosses. What do you think about that, Deltia?
The added difficulties, is that what you mean about optional things?
The tier system, like the tier rewards for completing optional objectives.
Sounds interesting. It'll get abused and mechanicalized, just like everything else. But I want to see it. It'll give incentive to do like optional bosses and stuff. So there's more things to do inside of the dungeon. So I think it's a good thing.
Tell me a little bit. How do you think it'll get abused? I'm kind of curious what your views on that are.
We're gamers. We're going to find a way to exploit and find the fastest, easiest, derpiest way to do something. Believe me. I don't know right now, but I'm going to find some little derpy exploit in there. Trust me.
Oh, you're saying
me or someone else will find some little derpy thing in there. Believe me.
Okay. So you're saying, like, you're going to find the easiest way, sorry about that, babe, to hit gold rating. Like,
as fast as you can without enjoying anything. Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah. You only need to kill this boss and this boss if you don't hit any deaths.
In the first 3 minutes, and you got to go left on this pillar, and it won't be fun after the first 1,000 times doing it. But you don't have to play like me, because there's that.
Arguably speaking, though, that happens in, like, anywhere. And after so many runs, I mean, I don't know about you, but, like, I get the idea of speed runs. I've done other games. Final Fantasy has the speed runs where when you were farming a specific like raid currency or gearing currency, there were speed runs where there was an optimal way to run the dungeon that in a couple minutes you could finish it. By the time I had to do this for like 500 times, I wanted those speed runs just because the fun way to do the dungeon was only fun the first couple times where you took your time, you ran it, and by the end I'm only looking at the reward. That happens no matter what. I mean, look at like any game, League of Legends. Like there's an optimal way to win the game in so many minutes. Blah blah blah. If it takes longer than that, you're technically losing out on your ELO rating because it should only take you so many minutes. You're wasting time and chances at winning by making games longer. It happens no matter what you play.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's cool. Sounds great, but it's going to get trivialized just like everything else.
Okay. Okay, and we already talked about Veteran City of Ash, but they kind of talked about a new dungeon, Imperial City Prison.
The prison has proceeded through the typical design phase from conception to near completion. The devs have prepared for creating this dungeon by researching the context, player expectations, future needs, and the inspiration behind any dungeon space. Next, they start a process of brainstorming story ideas, boss ideas, locations, and big moments. In this prison, the Daedra Labyrinth, with whom players are familiar, wants revenge on the Warden. The implementation process includes an iterative cycle of developing layout, story, and encounter planning. The encounter leads up to Lord Warden Dusk, a boss-level Grievous Twilight, which looks awesome. Another boss in IC Prison is a Flesh Abomination. The inspiration for the Flesh Colossus-type monsters was their depiction in the live-action Blur trailers. The first boss of the prison is the Flesh Sculptor, a diabolical Daedra who creates flesh abominations to battle the party. Other new monster types include the Necrotic Horror and the Daedrat. The devs showed a video of this new dungeon design also, and it is very reminiscent of the starting Oblivion experience, with a definitive ESO and Cold Harbor infused twist.
I love dark dungeons, and one thing I was specifically talking about, one of my favorite expansions, some people would hate this, in Warcraft was Wrath of the Lich King. I love that whole undead dark thing, so when we're running through Cold Harbor, I love that creepy dark look. I love dark fantasy. It's going to be a lot of fun. I like it a lot. Down the road, we're going to talk about more dungeons, trials, arenas, solo arenas, and this is something that's going to kind of interesting.
That's sick. That is sick.
I'm actually going to talk about the Q&A stuff. We're doing the dungeon trial arena questions. We're going to go over these because these I thought were interesting. The trial format in ESO is not representative of the amazing experiences I've had with epic endgame PvE in past games. Yeah, me either. The scope, both in terms of mechanics and in terms of storytelling, is not as... What is that word? Grand? Yeah, not as grand as raids in the past. I think back to an experience like Serpent Shrine Cavern and the feeling of awe that I was going to be struggling against this content with my friends for months. What are your thoughts on the future of large-scale endgame PvE in ESO, and will players who grew to love endgame PvE in past games find similar experience to love in the future of ESO?
The dev's response?
Rita Tropos is first.
Okay, so This was a pretty huge and loaded question, and it led to a bunch of useful discussion. The devs didn't have any direct answers to the question, but seemed very open to feedback from the assembled players. We discussed the difference between normal and hard modes. We discussed the consequences of the soul reservoir and the timing mechanic, as well as the meaning of the leaderboard and the interpretation of those rankings. The dev response?
Yeah, read the dev response, too.
There has been a lot of discussion within the company about the potential for adding more distinction between easy and hard modes, so we can preserve both accessibility of content and the competitiveness that targets hardcore endgame-oriented players. The devs commented on the difficulty jump between normal and veteran mode, Dragonstar Arena, and how that kind of leap of difficulty both allows players to complete the challenge while simultaneously pushing the limits of more dedicated players.
I think Dragonstar Arena was their first real step in what hardcore PvEers wanted. And I think it's great for the game. The normal Dragonstar Arena was hard enough that it wasn't a walk in the park. But Deltia, you beat it. Is it out of range of, let's just say, the average player of completing it in due time?
The average player.
We'll just say the average
You're
player.
not going to get in there and pug it with people that don't know what they're doing.
Sure. But previous rating games, you didn't rate it up until the addition of like LFR groups and stuff in like WoW, you still didn't do normal modes with random pugs. You still had to get a little bit of group synergy. But we'll just say a somewhat competent group of players.
You can do it.
Okay, perfect. The veteran Dragonstar Arena, there's less than 30 people in the North American mega server who have completed it. And I bet most of them are in the same guild. And they just rotate players. But that level of difficulty, I like that. It gives hardcore people something to shoot for. And the people who don't really care about doing the hard mode stuff, but just want to see the story, it gives them a sense of accomplishment while not being so irritably frustrating that they want to quit the game. I think that is one of the best decisions that ESO has put into the game. Like, I do, hands down. Okay, how do you feel about external AVA buffs and their impact on encounters and their consequences for the leaderboards? Amen.
The goal for the AVA buffs was for them to be a bonus, not a necessity. We are in discussions with Brian Wheeler about the future role of these buffs to reconcile how they affect these encounters now versus where we would like those PvP bonuses to be. We took care of this already with the Grotwood buff. That was never intended to be something that left that zone. So once we realized the players were leveraging that, we made that buff local to the Grotwood area.
Simple fix, devs. Make the buffs disappear when you enter a dungeon or a trial. Or anything that has to do with leaderboards. If it's recorded by a leaderboard, remove the buff. Done.
How hard is that to do technologically wise? Is that hard?
Well, not real hard. They did it right here with a localized buff for Grotwood. Just remove the buffs.
True.
Like when you go in, you can strip the buffs just the same as when, you know, it's when you go in, when you select a campaign, it adds them. You know what the best thing to do? As soon as you log in, just remove, temporarily remove your character's alliance, or not alliance, but, you know, selection of a campaign. Make it like you never selected a home campaign. It's not hard to remove buffs. It's a flip one switch that they can do by a zone. I know it's not hard. I just don't know why they haven't done it yet. It is. What about the possibility of randomized puzzles that force the players to think about how to defeat the current challenge without being able to just look up the solution on the internet?
We have begun prototype work for a randomized puzzle system, but we want to make sure that the experience that players have when confronting these types of challenges are consistent and enjoyable for everyone. These types of ideas are definitely in discussion.
That excites me right there. The fact that they're even talking about it. Blizzard's not talking about it. They don't want random. They don't know. They like the standard, this is what you do, people learn it, which is fine for that, but they won't do it. The fact that these guys are even considering it is a big plus in my book. Deltia, what do you think?
That they're considering what again?
Randomized puzzle system. So, like, maybe boss is doing random things.
I hate puzzles.
At 30% it does this.
I hate puzzles, you know that. But that's great. Making the thing static where, oh, it's going to be this and it's going to be that, then it becomes boring. But if it's like at 55%, we have no idea what's going to happen. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Like, I love the idea of bosses having you can know what they have 10 abilities. Here they are. You don't know when they'll use them. You just know they can. I like that. I do. That could be some argument though for like world first people though, going, oh wow, we fought the RNG boss and we got a thing we couldn't beat. Those guys didn't. I don't know. Arguments either side will go for the longevity of the game. Randomized encounters are great. For the competitive group, people don't like random. It's hard to be competitive.
But that's 1%, if not lower than 1%. So, I mean, you can't cater to the 1% in games. I'm sorry. You can have something for them to do, but, that's such a small size of your game. You have to make more things than just what they want.
Sure, I agree. I'm of the notion, though, if you can hold those 1%, you can hold pretty much anyone else.
I disagree.
Thace, do you agree or disagree? We might as well get your opinion on that. I mean, there's really no right answer. That's just my personal belief. If you can make stuff that holds the attention of hardcore gamers who play for like 20 hours a day, there will be plenty of stuff to do for the casual players who only play for a couple hours a week. They will never run out of stuff. They'll never get bored because there's always something for them to do. Unfortunately, there's also that side effect of some players may not like all that because there's so much to do, they get overwhelmed. It's a very delicate balance. It's true.
Wait, so
That's
what
true.
question am I answering?
What do you feel about randomized encounters, and should people cater to the 1%, the hardcore? Like, should they make stuff specifically aimed for hardcore?
No.
No?
No, I'm in favor of the randomized puzzles and fights.
Okay. All right.
I think it'd be fun.
No, I agree. All right. You know what I would really like, just speaking of?
What?
Have a set rotation for the hardcores, and then have an optional where it's a randomized for bonus rewards that they can do after. Like, there's a set fight. Like, as soon as you start a fight, be a button on the wall. Do you want standard or hard mode? Standard mode is at 50%, they do this. Hard mode is good luck. See what they do. I think that would be neat. Options are always fun.
That would be insane.
Add more achievements. I love it. Anyway, we're going to move on. What about the potential for Indiana Jones style jumping or platform challenges, like you have to jump from one platform to outrun the rolling boulder?
I love this idea. Okay, the response was, we did this a little bit in Craglorn with Shada's Tier, with the moving gas clouds. We're developing new tricks to incorporate new ways to have players move through game spaces, as well as ways to force them to move in certain ways.
I love Guild Wars 2 platforming. I think traditional platforming, as we saw, like the Mario blocks in the air, I think maybe are a little lore breaking for the type of universe that we're in.
The type of platforming in Guild Wars 2, though, I could see that being a possibility.
Possibility, yeah. Well, let me rephrase that. Certain things could be a possibility, like the Azura with their super...
Okay, well, obviously not, because that could not exist in this universe. But the ones with the trees and, like, the magical floating grass
I don't know if there were
areas.
any magical floating in ESO, though.
No,
well, actually, no. The aliens might...
Actually, there you go, alien ruins.
Yeah.
Those could be blocks and everything.
You could do some stuff.
I think it could work if they implement it correctly.
Yeah. I
But you
love
have to-
platforming.
Yes, so do I. Very much so.
But that's definitely a love-hate. Some people love it.
Some people
or
hate it.
Well, Deltia doesn't count. He doesn't. He's.
All those, I'm gonna do the platforming puzzle, be up there at the top, and just taunt Deltia, going, "Hey, you can get me."
Oh, and then I'll be up there too. We can be waving at him.
We'll just wave at him. Hi. All right, I like the idea.
We'll toss coins at him, see if we can hit him on the ground.
All right, are there improvements planned for the looking for group system so it's easier to find a group of players to fill a dungeon?
There are big changes coming to the Looking for Group tool and the way we place players together. The dungeon scaling will help a lot when it comes to putting groups together. Also, the new Undaunted Daily pledges will help a lot because players will be wanting to do the dungeon for the day. We'll also Whoa. We also fixed a few bugs with the matching system in Update 5.
Gotta remember, this was Atropos writing this during the stuff. It was probably quick wrote.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, when there's dailies, I'm going to be on there going, hey, I need to run whatever. Let's do it. Right now, I don't have an don't really have a real reason once I beat it and get the skill point. But once there's dailies telling me, hey, I can get rewards for it, you better believe I'm going to be out there going, hey, let's do this. Like, every day. I will. I love it. TS Fangirl says Deltia doesn't count, so platforming all the way.
She was actually asking a question.
Oh, I always saw Deltia doesn't count, and that's all that matters.
You guys go back to your puzzle games on your cell phone, you noobs. Oh! Burn!
Okay.
Where were you in Cyrodiil the day that we were there, huh? I was all ready to kick your butt. 'Cause I think Deltia is all talk.
I am all
He's
talk.
scared of the Pink Ranger.
He is scared of the Pink Ranger.
I am 100% all talk, believe me.
I believe it. Isn't that what most PvP meatheads are? 9%, 99% talk, and then they just hope, man. That's all right.
And 1% luck.
1% luck.
That's all PvP is.
99% talk, 1% luck. What about Dragonstar Arena stages 7 and 9? It seems those particular stages, the mechanics are a bit stacked on top of each other, and it's so difficult to deal with the intended mechanics without getting screwed over.
Stage 7 is kind of where the difficulty mode kicks up to big boy mode. We sort of intended it to be a bit of a concentration test, but there are some changes to Stage 9 that are coming because we saw some ways in which that stage was not quite manageable. We're also making some changes to itemization and item drops in Dragonstar in both normal and veteran mode. Namely, that all the mobs will drop money and ornate items, which will help offset some of the repair costs of repeatedly running through the arena. The final boss in veteran mode will now drop purple VR14 sets, and no longer drop random crap. Also, the master weapons are getting buffed.
Excellent. Now, the one thing I noticed they didn't really hit on was arenas and solo arenas. Let's do a little bit of speculation here. Are they talking about solo and arenas as in Dragonstar, or are we talking PvP arenas?
Like dueling?
Possibly.
They're talking about you being able to do Dragonstar Arena by yourself, I thought.
Okay.
But why would that even be a possibility? I don't see that being pleasurable at all.
I would love to.
If the rewards are scaled, like, I wouldn't want to see someone doing solo and getting the same rewards.
True.
If it were scaled that, whatever. I don't know. Kind of hit or miss. All right, now we're going to move on to the last bit that talked about the justice system for great justice. That's right, I said it. Go ahead and read this all the way down to there.
Okay. Paul Sage introduced the members of the Justice Team, who have been hard at work developing this massive new gameplay system for ESO. Paul suggested the disclaimer that the prototypes and ideas being developed here are definitely subject to change, as the system still has a lot of work to go in order to make sure it meets the level of quality, polish, and enjoyment that it's so important for them to deliver to players. The team started by discussing their process in prototyping the system. Features like trespassing and lockpicking with doors are ones that have evolved a lot since the system was conceived. The developers are most excited about the justice system because it gives players more freedom to have fun, to make mistakes, and to experience dynamic, player-driven content, more opportunities for player interaction, more realistic inhabitant behaviors, more ways for you to directly affect the world around you. It adds an additional stimulation layer that makes the game a lot more Elder Scrolls-like. The justice system introduces laws and the ability to break those laws, outlaws and enforcers, both players and NPCs, and NPC reactions to crime.
Oh!
The team showcased some early prototypes, one of which depicted an enforcer pursuing a player outlaw, either stealing items or breaking into a locked home and engage them in combat.
All right, before we go into what are crimes and what are the repercussions for crimes, as well as what's different between outlaws, enforcers, etc., which we will talk about, I want to say something here first. If they implement this, I can't think of any MMO out there today that has this level of interactivity with the world that makes you feel this much like your world, besides maybe Ultima Online back in the day. But technically speaking, that was a very simplistic game. There wasn't near as much. And you did have a karma system where people could attack you, et cetera, et cetera. And if you were negative karma, boss, they would attack you. But I don't think any modern MMO to date has near these features, much less a theme park MMO. Maybe some sandboxes which have player-driven stuff. I know specifically Arcade has a trial system, but that arguably is just, a bunch of D-holes, getting together and trying to put people in prison.
That is my insult.
D-holes. I'm fine
I
with
love D-holes. That's my
That
favorite.
is my insult.
That's my favorite one.
That's the best one ever. All right. Hey, you already stole my band name while I pop Shotgun Express. I can still hear D-holes.
You have to edit that out of the show. That cannot leave.
It'll get Fusro Dodd.
Okay. All right, good.
All right, so, Deltia, what do you think about just this as a whole, this type of interactivity in the game?
Okay, this is going to seem very bizarre to everyone. I find no interest in this. I know, it is really bizarre. It does not interest me whatsoever, running around and killing NPCs. I could go back tomorrow and do that. Now, for the level of interactivity, this brings a whole new level to the MMO genre in this game. For me, personally, I want arenas. That's what I want. I want Imperial City. I could care less about killing guards. I really could. But for those that love that stuff, this goes to show you that gamers are gamers. We're all so different. I have never, ever liked to be sneaky guy. And yet, all I encounter are people who love to go around and sneak on Khajiits. I have no idea why.
But, Deltia, you could be an enforcer who kicks the butt of the sneaky people.
I know, but I don't know. For some reason, it's truly bizarre why this is not interesting to me. I have no idea why it's not. It's just not. It's so bizarre. But I'm just like, I don't know.
TS Fangirl is completely shocked in chat. She's like, what?
I know.
You don't even care?
I care because it's really going to bring a lot of different people into the game. It's an amazing thing for the game. It's kind of like Galactic Starfighter in Star Wars Solar. Yeah, cool. You get to fly around in spaceships. Am I ever going to do it? Nope. Great. I just, I'll do it, but it's not like something I really want to do. So.
See, this is why I said Deltia doesn't count. He just
I know,
count.
it's a weird opinion, but that's just it. We're all different. So that's yeah, that's it. I don't know. You guys are more hammed up about it than I am.
Okay. I will say this for TS Fangirl. You can kill other players if they are flagged as outlaws. That is still in the game. So that is definitely still there. It's not the PvP system at all. I think it'll be fantastic for the game. I think this will put this game out there
on the map.
I'm calling it, as going, hey, this MMO you can truly affect the world.
True. Like
even as a theme park MMO, that's not most people do not like sandbox MMOs, and I'll say this because they're almost all sandbox MMOs are player created content, which is great, but it's almost solely PvP based.
Well, that, and also people say, "Oh, I want sandbox in my game," but yet then they go, "There's nothing to do," because they want you to be pointed to do something. They want big shiny. They say one thing, but they mean another. And not everyone. I'm not generalizing. Well, I guess I am generalizing. I'm pulling a.
Yeah,
you're pulling an ag here. I'm not generalizing.
I'm not generalizing, but most people.
But actually, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go, "Oh, I want sandbox in my game," and then when they get it, they're like, they never use it. So,
that's happening in games like Arcade right now, which is brand new. People are bored because all the housing plots are filled up because people jumped up. What to do other than that? The end game, if you will, is the trade runs, and if you don't have a house or anything, it's boring. People are like, I'm bored. I just get ganked, and that's it.
It's all PvP, yeah. So your house that you worked 500 hours on just gets trashed. And that's sandbox for you. Or what's the other game? EVE Online. You spent 2 years on your ship and it gets destroyed. There's a reason why not a lot of people want to do that.
There's a few, and I give props to the people who do.
That's great.
But
good for them.
Those this will be the first, I would say, theme park MMO that gives you direction, that gives you quest. You know, the standard theme park MMO where they kind of handhold you a little bit. They kind of give you, this is Elder Scrolls. Go out and do what you want. But here are some suggestions.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how the best describe it. Warcraft was a, no, you're following this line. I'm taking your hand and go. This is what you can do. Go out and do whatever you want, but here are some things you can do. But this will create a type of sandbox. I think the best sandbox is within a theme park because there's stuff to do, but then there's a sandbox that you can build. You want to be a super thief but you're outlawed? Go for it. That's your choice.
I totally agree. It gives you players an options, and like they can create their own stories and really feel connected to their character. For me, it's just different. That's not what really drives me to connect to my character. But for some people, I know people are coming to this game leveling tunes just so they can have a Khajiit, Thief, Nightblade, Sneaky. Like, that's all they want to do. So it's good for the game.
Right. Is this where we're... Yeah, no,
yeah,
right.
we're here.
Okay.
What are crimes?
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right, well, before we get on that, you continue and tell us a little bit about what are crimes as defined by the justice system.
Okay. Theft. Either of personal property or pickpocketing.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you right here real quick. Unless this is subject to change, you can steal from players, but it's not... Like, you can't steal, like, Deltia, you have a sword. I can't steal that, but I can pickpocket you and get random stuff. It won't take out of your gold, but I can steal gold. I can steal randomized items. So you can target real players, but you don't, for you players who are like, oh crap, I don't want my stuff stolen. It's kind of like they steal something and they open your backpack and it randomly, something that's not even yours. It's, oh look, I got a sword and him off this guy. But unless this is subject change, this was something you could do. That's why it's theft of either personal property or pickpocketing. You can do it from players as well.
I am going to be following Deltia around everywhere he goes, stealing everything he owns. Everything. Okay. The team wants to be sure that any objects in the world are apparent, even without the use of UI elements, whether those items are owned or not. The chance to successfully pickpocket an NPC will change second by second as they undertake different actions, which will prevent outlaw players with windows of opportunity for theft.
I'm going to interrupt here again. This is something else they're adding to the game, which is awesome. They're adding routines to the NPCs. They won't just be standing there anymore. That's one thing they're doing. Like the NPCs will walk around their little things. They're adding personalities to the NPCs. That way, you can't just sneak up behind an NPC who always stands in the same direction, pickpocket. He will move, and you'll have to sit there and watch and go, when is the optimal time where I won't be noticed?
I'm so excited. Hold on. Okay. Trespassing. Each town will have locked buildings that are owned by NPCs that live there. If you pick the lock, you can go inside the house and break in. Once inside, you can steal from or murder the NPCs who live within. Next is murder. Currently, you will be able to attack anybody, but you will only be able to kill almost anybody. Quest critical NPCs, certain vendors, and travel-based NPCs will be immune to death.
Nice. In response to TS Fangirl, I have a feeling this will get sought out pretty quickly during testing. I imagine them doing something like if you loot a friend, you are locked out from stealing from that character for like a day. And that would prevent someone just sitting there and letting you steal over and over and over again.
That's okay. I'm still following Deltia.
That would be your daily quest to steal from Deltia.
Steal from Deltia.
Come get it. Come get it.
All right. So now that we know what those are, what are the repercussions?
Whether or not crimes are witnessed is the most critical condition resulting from a crime. If witnessed, NPCs will react to your crimes.
Delty, didn't you just say you loved how in the single-player games they would be like, hey, you did this?
Yes, yes.
Now they will if you steal.
I know.
You bastard, get back here.
All NPCs within the world will be given a personality. Some NPCs are cowardly and will run for shelter. Some brave NPCs will try and fight back. Certain NPCs might be mages or werewolves and have skills that will be represented if a outlaw engages them. This creates a more sandboxy and dynamic environment.
See? Sandbox within a theme park.
All right. Witness crimes increase bounty and heat. These are placeholder terms, but heat represents negative attention, which immediately follows a crime which is committed. Heat degrades fairly quickly if a crime can avoid getting caught. Each crime also contributes to a bounty, which establishes a baseline platform for further heat. If a player wantonly murders townsfolk, heat will jump up by hundreds of points at a time, but the player will remain an aura of criminality which persists because of their bounty, which are global. Bounties will slowly decay over a matter of time.
I think pretty much what this is going to do is when you're first... It's kind of like in Skyrim where if you killed somebody, the guards would immediately go, hey, and you could run off. But you could come back later and the guards wouldn't still be angry at you. Like, if you talk to them, they'd be like, hey, wait a minute, aren't you wanted for murder? That's where the bounty still hits. But it's not an immediate, they want to kill you on sight. So you'll still have a crime thing, but you can always come back later after the heat has died down and be able to act normally while still having a bounty.
NPC guards will accost you. If a guard is pursuing the player and the pursuit passes another guard or set of guards, the baton will be passed and additional guards will join the chase.
The entire city of Mournhold will be chasing you around.
I am loving this so... Okay, the last is... Okay, this is the only one I don't like. The player is flagged for PvP. Criminals become eligible for targeting by other enforcer-type players.
You're gonna die.
You're gonna die.
A lot.
Because I'm being enforcer. Now, there is, and we'll talk about this, well, we'll do that in a second. So let's talk about outlaws.
Okay. Outlaws represent the criminal segment of players, like me, and are designed to appeal to players who want access to a criminal-themed skill line.
You get another skill line.
That's amazing. Outlaws will be able to sell or launder stolen goods, and players who want a way of clearing bounties without giving up stolen goods. Outlaws will have access to outlaw havens, which are like smugglers' dens with fences, vendors, and more. Oh my gosh, I am so happy. Oh,
I don't know of any other MMO that does this. Like, period. This will put this on the map.
I hope they come out with race changes next, because I have to be an Argonian.
Saxleal.
I have to be. And I am going to be the best thief on the planet, on the continent of Tamriel. I'm going to be the best one.
I love this game.
Like,
I just love it so much.
The best one.
All right, before you overheat here
Okay,
from excitement, let's talk about enforcers.
Okay. Enforcers represent players eager to extract justice
For
from
great
offenders.
justice! That's me.
Players who want access to a justice-themed skill line and players who want to profit from confiscating goods will enjoy being an enforcer. Enforcers have access to chapter houses, which are towers outside cities. Joining the enforcers gives you access to an enforcer tabard, which, when worn, will flag the player for PvP. This tabard will take a bit of time to put on or take off, but does allow players to voluntarily participate in patrolling and acting as an enforcer. Enforcers also have a PvE component called Bandit Dens, which give enforcers fun ways to find reliable and fun enforcement activities to undertake. Bandit Dens are hideouts throughout the world. Vignettes throughout the world can lead the enforcer to clues, which suggest the location of a bandit's den. The devs showed a video in which they discovered a clue leading to a mine containing several bandits. Chests within bandit dens may be trapped, but can also contain contraband items. These stolen goods can be returned to the Enforcer chapter house for rewards. The dens also contain hidden areas, where the in-game maps do not initially reveal the entire environment.
Nice.
The dens also include bandit bosses, which can be killed for extra treasure. Gameplay is intended to not just be a cat and mouse game, but rather more similar to a capture the flag mechanic where stolen and then possibly confiscated goods must be returned to either an outlaw haven or an enforcer chapter house. Where the justice system goes from here. This established a strong platform for the game to use in implementing other crime-related activities in the future. The devs cheekily show a "we know," oh my gosh, "we know" Dark Brotherhood slide at the end of the presentation.
Are you alright over there?
I'm gonna pass out. I'm so excited.
I like the idea of the enforcers, because here's the thing. The enforcers have a PvE mechanic added to them, because unfortunately, unlike the outlaws, their type of sandbox mechanic is dependent upon people stealing. If no one's stealing, they have no one to enforce. So they're given an optional way of being able to go against PvE bandits that only enforcers can go against in order to kind of, use their justice skill line. Thays, what do you feel about just that part? Or, I'm not even going to talk to you. You're too excited. Deltia. Enforcers and having a PvE outlet because their stuff is dependent upon people stealing. What do you think?
I think that's
or what do you think
cool.
about the justice system as a whole?
I mean, it sounds pretty cool once again, but it's not my thing. Cool. I'll kill people that look derpy in town that are yellow flagged, but I'm not going to spend hours and hours doing this. I want to kill people when it's fair, and killing NPCs and stealing from people, I don't know. It's not my thing. So, there you go.
All right. Go ahead, Thays. I'm letting the hounds of
Come on, tell me why it's so cool to you.
Tell me why the justice system is so cool. Go.
Because I can be the biggest thief ever, and it's different than it being a single player game, because now people can actually recognize if someone's a good thief. So I can go around and just steal everything, and then stand there and look at all the loot I have. I stole it from this guy, and I killed that guy, and I'm just the best thief ever. You can use the sneak abilities, and the towns are going to be populated.
I'm going to interrupt you right here. They are completely revamping how sneak works for this. So you know how it is now, friendly. You just look like you're. I think they're actually going to make it so you're invisible unless you can reveal players, however you would reveal. So with the justice system is coming a revamp of sneaking as a whole. So it'll be different from how we know it now. Go ahead.
I couldn't breathe for a sec. Okay, what was I going to say? Oh yes, in any of the other Elder Scrolls games, I was always the sneaky one. I stealthed everywhere. I stole everything.
I think that's a popular opinion among most single player.
I am the exact opposite.
Not
I
me.
hate that.
No, I'm like Deltia. I'm the I run in and see what we can kill kind of thing. Like, come at me, bro. That's me. But it's surprising. I think there was a poll on the official Elder Scrolls, the official Elder Scrolls, not ESO, the Bethesda forums. Was your favorite? And it's 90% of people preferred to play Sneak Thief.
What?
The bow. Yeah, it was high. It was insanely high.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, I stole everything. If it wasn't nailed down or glued to something, I stole it.
I think one of the best things about Elder Scrolls games is you see how dark of a person you really are sitting there looking at steal. You it's highlighted red going steal. Okay? Stealth. Steal. Mine. And you just see how dark of a person you really are in these games.
I'm such a loving and caring person in real life. When it comes to Elder Scrolls, I'm racist, and I want to kill everybody, and TES Fangirl is going, she will be so stealthy in her pink gear. I will be. I will be the most fashionable thief ever. It's gonna be so much fun that they're putting it out there for two different types of players. Because in this, you don't only have the option to be a thief or a bulldozer. Now you have the option to be a police officer, essentially, to stop crime. Which means that the player base might actually be split between thieves and police.
Oh, it'll be 90% thief.
You think so?
More people for me to kill.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be very. The PvP meatballs are gonna be guards.
Oh great!
I guarantee you right now, the PvP meatballs will be guards.
You know what? I'm okay with that though, because it will really test how good I am at sneaking and stealing everything.
You would with the revamp of the sneak mechanic, guards will have to be looking for you and using inner light and stuff to try to find you.
I got potions.
I got potions,
bro.
It's gonna be so cool. And if they add the Dark Brotherhood,
I'm definitely the Deltia. I'm like you. I wear the heavy armor, the great sword. I walk into a dungeon, see 12 guys. I'm like, come at me, bro, and just start swinging.
But you can't.
That's
you can't
me.
Charge me with crimes.
Just smash my gauntleted hand against my breastplate. Come at me, bro.
Okay, so one question I have: can people steal from your bank? I don't want my crap stolen from.
No. They specifically said, even if you're going to be able to steal, it will be randomly generated stuff from players.
You?
Yeah, like if they steal from you, it won't actually be things in your bag, but I'll open up and go, hey, I stole a lint ball and 5 gold. And the 5 gold won't come from your bank. It's just randomly generated, like killing a mob. Yes.
Good.
That is probably, they even said that's how it currently is, but it'll probably need some heavy testing. Now, this was a little while ago. They need to make sure it's not abused, which is why I think if you steal from players, I think they're probably going to have to put some sort of timer. That way, like, the gold sellers aren't sitting there just stealing off each other constantly. I think there'll probably be some sort of gating mechanic of, you've stolen from Deltia, now he has a buff called Hyper Aware, where for, like, the next 12 hours, you can't steal from him. You know, something like that. Or, you know, like, you get a buff, Hyper Aware, or what is that? Hyper vigilant? That's like a real term.
Yeah, it's a symptom of PTSD. You don't want it.
Yeah, if you're ever stolen from, no other thief can steal from you because you've been stolen from recently and now you're locked out. I think that'd be neat. It would keep the gold farming mechanic out, so 2 people can't just go out in the middle of nowhere and just, you know, park a character, steal 5 gold, 5 gold, 5 gold, 5 gold, 5, until they have, you know, 1 million gold. I think that would be kind of neat. But that's going to need to be tested. All right, Thais, looks like you still have more to say.
No, I'm
you're
good.
Okay?
I'm good, yeah.
You're a little flushed over there.
Gee, I wonder why.
It kind of looks like you're turned on from Justice System.
I definitely am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also drooling a little bit from excitement.
I can see
and
that.
I think I might have peed a little.
You know,
there's so many things going on here.
She was so tired during this entire episode. She's like, had her head against my desk, sleeping. Second we talk about Justice System, she's more awake than I am. She's like,
I get to steal stuff and kill people?
So,
Hail Sithis.
When you guys think the ETA for this is going to be out?
Not until it's ready.
This is something where, like I said, you can really... This is...
Well, I know, but what do we
system.
think? What do we think?
Months.
As in, like, next year?
I'm going to guess... All right, let's talk in terms of updates. Updates come roughly every 4 to 6 weeks. Update 5 is coming on PTS. I think Update 5 will probably be out by the middle of November.
Yeah, I think beginning of November.
Yeah, middle of November.
This?
Update 5. No, which is... Okay. How, given the current release schedule of 4 to 6 weeks per update, how many updates till we see this? I'm thinking Update 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think the next one will be Imperial City. I think another one will be like some other mechanic, and then the big one.
So 7 or 8 is roughly 2.5 months away. Yeah, I can see that. What about you?
Oh, I
what
think...
update? Let's just say they're a month apart. How many updates?
So you're saying 5 is next month?
5 is going to be sometime in the middle of November, I would imagine.
I would say 9? 10?
9 or 10?
Yeah, I really feel like it's going to be a while because they have a lot to cover.
Yeah,
with trying to
this is a
implement
very
this kind
large.
of system.
This one is on par with Champion. Well, I don't think on par. I think this is lower than Champion System because Champion System is a revamp of the entire, not just ability, but the entire stat system, and that's huge.
Because think about it. Are you going to be able to steal like how you take items now from the interactable items in the world?
Yep.
That's how it's going to work?
But if they're owned by somebody, which you'll probably be able to see just like Skyrim.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. But because in Skyrim, you could just take things off of shelves.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that seems
happen.
like it would be really difficult to do.
They have it in games. Well, it's not just you would open
like a drawer. And
yeah, but just like ESO, the name or Skyrim, the name's in red. So instead of it saying take, it would say steal.
Yes. So I think that in implementing that ability, they would really have to balance how quickly those random items replenish, and it's going to be huge. It's not going to be for a long time, I feel.
I wasn't going to, but let's do this a little bit. First off, I will say one more thing. They are also doing specific houses in the zones will be locked that you have to lockpick to break into.
That's kind of cool.
And once you're in there, that's technically trespassing. Let's go ahead and we're going to read some of these questions. I wasn't going to, but this is a really fun system, and Thais is really excited, and I love seeing her this excited, so we're going to talk about it. How will you maintain the mystery of where dens are once you've discovered them the first time? Do you plan dens to be unique, or will you have to find the same den in multiple locations?
At first, we want all our bandit dens to be unique. so there may not be a ton of them just at first, but we'll be working on ways to maintain the mystery, maybe by using multiple entrances or other ideas that we are bouncing around.
You know, I think that would probably be a good idea, because all I can see is if all the dens are known, all the Enforcer players will just be standing outside the den. Just like, come on.
Yeah.
But those bandit dens won't be where the outlaws go.
Oh, no.
That's for PvE, that part.
Well, even so, even the dens where outlaws go, if I know that's where they have to go to get the heat off of them, I'm standing right outside the entrance with my sword going, you have to pass me to get to safety.
You would do that to me?
Oh, hell yeah.
To me?
Oh, Oblivion, yeah, because I'm going to use it.
Why? Why? Why would you do that to me? I am your loving, soon-to-be Argonian wife, who just so happens to steal everything on the planet.
Gotta teach you somehow. All right. How will you balance the incentives for outlaws since you're exposing yourself to risk by stealing?
Outlaws will have ways to loot items that are flavor items relating to the story of the zone or the story of the world, which can be stacked in your inventory. But there are also extra valuable items that will be financially very rewarding to your character.
Maybe you could steal trophies and stuff, things that you can add to your new trophy interface for collection.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can you touch on skill lines?
We can comment very broadly. The outlaws will have skills designed to help them commit crimes more effectively or escape detection. The planned skills are still very much under consideration and discussion at the moment.
Okay. Well, that's neat. You have skills. Hey, Dave, there's a time where you'd have to switch your skills out.
I'm okay with that. I will have.
You hear that, Deltia?
I hear.
There's a time when she needs to switch her standard loadout out.
Wow. Put
I'm
crit
okay with
surge
that.
down.
No.
Put crit surge down, woman.
All right. The system looks really fun for players while leveling while progressing naturally through these city hubs. But what about existing max level players? Do you envision them participating in these activities?
Additional adventure zones may include more city-based gameplay, or Cineum possibly, as a logical place for max-level players to engage with justice.
Nice. And I think what would be kind of neat is to, again, scale rewards. Make it not real worthwhile for a VR14 guy to go back to, Davin's Watch. Like the stuff you get there. Yeah, you can, but it's not going to be worth as much. Make the risk versus reward is what makes players do these things. If you get 1 gold for turning stuff in at Davin's Watch, but you get 100 gold in the new VR14 zone, I'm going there, because if I make it through one time, that's 100 times I'd have to do it in Davin's Watch. All right. What is to stop max level players from going to low level areas and wearing an Enforcer tabard to smash lobies?
This is definitely a problem we need to address, but we haven't figured out the exact solution yet.
Oh.
It will get boring eventually for people.
No, it won't.
No, it doesn't.
It never does.
I think it will.
No,
It never does.
Could you actually see Deltia go, wow, I'm bored of killing these level 5s?
No, it will never get boring.
Well, there you go. There's Deltia's sandbox. He's just sitting there in Davin's Watch. Come here, lobies.
Come steal from me, precious.
He's naked except for the tabard, just smashing them with
Oh,
a
yeah,
hammer. Like,
with
that
chest
is
hair.
so much fun to him.
With chest hair out and a big greatsword, like, what? Steal.
He shaves his chest hair into a big J for justice. Stands there with his hands on his
Oh,
hips.
yeah, that with a tabard covering up, you know what? That's it.
Yep, that's it. All right. How are you going to address the sneak on same alliance basis, since you can currently see your alliance allies while they're stealth?
Sneak will change from the way you currently know it, so that stealth will matter for justice-based conflict.
There you go. It's getting revamped. I like it. The earlier presentation on writing and lore had a question where a question was asked about karma and morality system in game, and I totally understand why it doesn't exist in ESO. But one thing I've always found cheesy about TES universe was how when you pay off a bounty, your dark criminal deeds are just instantly washed away. Have you considered any sort of notoriety systems that would reflect your lifetime of criminality or justice bringing? Have you at all followed the U.S. justice system? I mean, seriously. You pay off your fine, you got money, I kill someone, I don't know, just do some community service, I'm okay.
Or you do whatever you want, you hit 18 and it's expunged.
Yeah, there you go. If you want to kill anyone, do it before you turn 18.
Wow, you might not...
Or be rich.
Or be rich,
Wow.
your
All
choice. Right. I was going to say, it's like, oh, how is this ass where, found cheesy? That's pretty much how every civilized criminal system works.
It's fair, bro.
Moving on, the answer to this was, is that a social commentary about the value of life in Tamriel? Laughs all around. Good question. We'll think about it.
I don't know. What if I want my entire guild to be a guild of enforcers, and for everyone to understand that we are enforcers? How do we use our guild tabards while simultaneously acting as enforcers?
We want enforcers to be easily recognizable, and so their tabard has a distinct emblem which everyone can recognize. So it will probably be between which to wear at any given time.
I would rather just have a drop-down. Select PvP or not, rather than a tabard. Because like I said, if they ever introduce the transmog system where then I can make transmog of my stuff and they'll probably use the costume slot, I would much rather... I mean... Rift had the costume slot where you literally made a costume. Like, you could have your gear, but then you made a costume which literally hung exactly like we have a costume system here. Like, that's... Rift's costume system is identical. Anyway, I don't... Tabard's fine for now, but I prefer to go away.
I like that idea because that means that if there's all kinds of enforcers around, you'll be able to see them, which will kind of deter the criminals. Like, if I'm standing in Riften... and I see 20 enforcers over there by the enchanting table, I'm not going to want to do any kind of crime over there.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you could... I understand your tabard thing, but if they're wearing the tabard, they're flagged for PvP. So when you're stealth doing your criminal stuff, you'd be able to target them for PvP. So when they're highlighted yellow because they're targetable, they're enforcing. That's my way of telling.
I don't get it.
Well, just like you see enemies where they have the outline, they would also have the red line going, hey, they can attack me.
Sorry.
All right. Let's see. 2 questions. What protections will be in place to prevent accidental commission of crimes?
You good?
Yeah, go ahead.
We want to not have players suffer from collateral damage while running around town and using abilities. You will be able to flag yourself as not participating in the system, and we're thinking about other ways to make sure the user doesn't accidentally pickpocket or steal.
Okay. Do you expect the justice system to have positive, negative, or no effect in Cyrodiil?
My hope is that this will serve as a soft introduction to PvP, and may encourage more players to check out Cyrodiil content. It really remains to be seen, though, as it will be a really different experience than what they would have in Cyrodiil.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the 2014 Guild Summit. Let's go around, Face. What did you think of the entire thing?
Love it.
Care to extrapolate at all?
I want the justice system now. I want it now. I want the updated facial graphics because I want to know exactly how my NPCs are feeling.
Hey, just imagine the little winky and half smile Jakarn will give you. You'll be all over that.
My gosh, can we commit crimes together?
Probably.
I wonder if he likes Argonians. See, we're a match made in heaven.
Okay. Deltia, 2014 Guild Summit as a whole. What are you thinking?
As a whole, fantastic. I mean, being this open, next time invite me, bro. Please, I want to go. I'm just waiting to go.
I know. I've been sending them messages. I want to go down.
Yo, come on. Let's invite the podcast meatballs. No, really cool. I mean, to be this open and honest with their fan base, has any MMO ever done something like this? Fly people out on their dime just to let them know what's going on and get feedback. The answer is no. This is incredible. Regardless if I'm excited for everything, no, I'm not. But it's just the game's headed in the right direction. Having these developers really get it. It's the player's game. It's not theirs. And they're designing things for us, not them. And I'm so happy with the the open honesty, and I'm not exactly thrilled with every change, but it's our game. It's not just about me. So I think it was great that they did this.
Okay, and I kind of go with Deltia. So next time ZeniMax, you don't have to do any. I will drive down myself.
Oh yeah,
If you're like 4 hours, I will be down there. Just give me a call, like seriously, or email, anything. I will be down there.
hit me up on Twitter, bro.
Hit me up on Twitter. Deltia and I will both go. We don't care.
I want to go. Twit me.
Twit me. Nice. ESO Guild Summit. Oh my goodness, the changes. This stuff that they're implementing are, quite honestly, this is stuff that I wouldn't expect to see in like Warcraft unless it was a massive expansion years later. You know what I mean? This stuff coming out is just so awesome and like so huge. And I really think they have their thumb on the pulse of the community. Like they really do. Like the stuff they're releasing is just looking at how Thais went from being totally exhausted to now she probably won't be able to sleep for 2 days. It's amazing. And this, like I said, creating a sandbox in a theme park, I think is honestly what would get you the most amount of players. I mean, because it gets the people who want to build for themselves and yet still holds the hand, if you will, of the people who want a direction. I think it's great. I love it. I can't wait for the champion system, first and foremost. Please reconsider the third resource and also the transmog system, because I want to look like I'm wearing heavy armor while wearing medium.
Yep.
Because I love the look of heavy armor. Let me look like... You already gave me dyes, which are a great first step. I mean, I love the dye system to make me look unique. But let me create a character that's me in the world. I want to, I'm a min-maxer, but I definitely want... Yes, and big nose. I need to make my nose bigger. Yes. It's... Let me personalize my character so it's me. And then make that personalization part of crafting so crafters can sell it. There we go. All right, that ends our 2-week coverage of the ESO Guild Summit. I had a blast with that. You guys, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm just exhausted listening to Thais' excitement.
She wore me out with the excitement.
I am not even tired anymore. I think I might just do laps around the house, like screaming, "Justice system!"
All right. Well, let's move on to our next section. We'll get this done. We're nearing 2.5 hours already.
We're here at 5-hour episodes.
5-hour episode. Hey, a lot of stuff to talk about. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Tales from Tamriel.
Oh, gosh.
Time for us to talk about our game week. So, Deltia,
All
you,
right.
sir, go first.
Oh, I got so many tales. I'll just tell 2 of them, though. So we started doing this weekly or daily event, I should say, at nights, like for people. We have PvE, we have PvP day on Saturday, we have all sorts of stuff. But ironically, the most fun that we had was crafting night, where all we did was go around Upper Craghorn and pick up flowers. I don't know why it was fun. It was just fun. We just made fun of each other and got stuff crafted and got ready for the week. And it's just surprising. Picking flowers in this game is enjoyable. I hate flowers. I hate the outdoors. But for whatever reason in Tamriel, I love it. So we did that. Other really cool thing, there were so many, but we did Dragonstar Arena again. And I wanted to play my Sork, so I went in there as a VR7, and we ended up beating it. I had to get carried, though. I mean, I wasn't really the best or anything. But we ended up beating it with my VR8 Sork when I was done as a tank. So that was really cool that, it felt so different tanking on my Sork than I did my Dragonite. I had more mobility, but I didn't have nearly the utility that I did with my Dragonite. So I had to really play way different. Like if I ran out of stamina, I just had to streak out of there and just go run away for a while. So my healer was chasing me, yelling at me. That was pretty fun. Other than that, just been helping people get into PvP and creating some new builds. I've got a bunch on the site. More articles for crafting coming out soon. A clothing article being released tomorrow. So check out the site for all sorts of new stuff. I've been listening to your guys' feedback on what you like, and it seems like the leveling guide was really popular. People like that. So I'm just going to keep creating content and just doing stuff around the week and having a blast. So come holler at me in game if you ever want to do something.
Excellent. All right. Well, Anything else for your tales for this week?
There's too many to count, but you guys are getting tired of hearing me, so go ahead.
All right, we'll talk about... We have a few things to talk about, but not a lot, because we didn't actually do a lot that was quantifiable in a story, but we did a lot in-game this week. All right, first off, as I always say, talk about character changes. You had nothing, right? Well, guess what happened to me? I changed everything.
Double trouble.
I pretty much copied Deltia's Bubble Trouble build. I'm making a somewhat tanky character, at least up until VR14. So we can go... All right, what?
So wait a minute. So you're making a tanky character?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're making the tank character, how come I'm the one that always dies?
Well,
You're not tanky.
move out of the poop.
No, I move out of the poop.
Well, I don't know then, because I don't die.
Well, aren't you supposed to be the one, like, taking the aggro?
No, tanky character versus tank is different. You remember in this game, you don't hold everything. Every player has to be responsible for themselves. I'll hold the big guy, but...
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right.
So maybe move some of your skills around so you have some more defensive skills.
Nope. Can't do it. Nope.
All right. Well, I made a change, sort of like the Bubble Trouble build on DeltiasGaming.com, but not completely, because this was focused mostly on PvP, and I'm more towards a PvE and end game kind of thing. But I'm going to be kind of tanky at least until the end of our leveling experience till I'm VR14, I think. So it would be nice for questing. But I pretty much switched out all my medium armor for 5 pieces heavy, 2 pieces light. Drop the Thief Mundus Stone and pick up the Atronach for Magicka. I regenerate like 98 Magicka every 2 seconds. I am like 5 Magicka below the soft cap for regeneration.
What's your race again? Sorry.
Nord.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So I don't really have any bonuses for like regeneration, except for I do have arguably one of the best tanking racials, the Rugged, which is like 6%.
The best.
Yeah, 6% reduced damage, just flat. Like, no, I just take 6% less damage than everybody else. But nothing else really all that. Oh, and plus I have health regeneration and health. Like, that's part of the Nord's racials. But I'm using Greatsword on my ultimate bar / damage bar. And then I have Sword Shield. But the main thing is Blazing Shield. I keep that little bugger up, and I just never die. I was running around in Cyrodiil the other day. I think I got like 10 or 11 mobs on me that were like VR5, and I was VR4. Running around in a darn circle, casting Blazing Shield. My health never dropped below like 90%. And they all died. I went into Craglorn to create my arena set gear, and I got 5 or 6 of those, I forget what they're called. They're the like 6-eyed dog things on me. And they are VR11. I was VR4. Killed all of them. Didn't drop below 95%. It was fantastic. I just run around, bubble, cleave, bubble, cleave, bubble. It was so much fun. I'm having a blast.
Templar is a lot of fun once you get that. I like the class a lot. Now, what ultimate are you using? You said are using the Fighters Guild and switching, or what are you doing?
I'm using the Fighters Guild on my Greatsword bar.
Okay.
Which is my damage and ultimate builder, because Cleave, of course, just builds ultimates so fast. My other bar depends what I'm doing. I'm either using Empowering Sweep, which is the really cheap one. Yeah, but it like reduces your damage based on the amount of people you got. So if I got like 20 people on me, I get like huge damage reduction. It's just crazy. Or depending on if they're not like public dungeon mobs, I use Empowering Sweep. But if it's like dungeon mobs, I use Solar Prism. Nova, the morph of Nova. So, and pretty much how I figured out once Flawless Dawnbreaker's at like 300% ultimate, I know that Nova's ready.
Yeah, Nova takes a minute to get up there.
Yeah. But it actually, depending on how many mobs there are, I can get up to Nova level fairly quickly with Cleave, because I gain 3 or 5 ultimate for every mob I hit with Cleave.
Yeah.
So a couple Cleaves, I can get a lot of ultimate very fast. I drop an ultimate on 5 or 6 mobs, and I get half of the ultimate I need to cast it again. which is a few more cleaves. So, and of course I have repentance on the bar, so that keeps my stamina going. So it's fairly nice. So that's what I've been running around with. Now, we actually finished Stormhaven last week, and we started on Rivenspire, but we only actually did like 2 quests in Rivenspire up till now. We intercepted a soldier that they were saying they were ambushed by Montclair soldiers. So just so you know, this particular part, I'm going to say for probably the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, is going to be spoilers for Rivenspire story. So if you don't want to listen to it, skip ahead like, I don't know, 5 minutes. There's a little bit of a civil war between the nobles going on in Rivenspire, and one group of soldiers got attacked by another group, so we had to help them out. And we're collecting healing supplies, and we went back up to where the guys are camped out, being surrounded by the enemy soldiers, and we run into a healer. You remember this story?
No.
You don't remember the healer?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
I remember that. Right.
You tell the story all the way through the healer.
Oh, I don't... okay, well, so the Civil War, we get to a tower, and there's a healer. And at first, she's like, oh, yeah, I'm just here helping everybody, you know. And then she goes, but there's this one group of people, there's a family, and I can't find them. So why don't we travel down to their little homestead, and we'll see if they're there. So we go, and she meets us down there, and we're knocking on the door, and I'm still very sleepy. We knock on the door, and the dad comes to the door, and he's going,
Justice system.
And the dad comes to the door, but he didn't open the door. Through the door, he's like, no. We're not leaving until we know that we're going to be safe. So how about you go get us some weapons? The funny thing is, it didn't stop there. Like, he gave us like an order. He's like, okay, I want a great sword, and I need 2 short swords for my son, and my wife needs a bow, and my daughter just has to have a pair of daggers. So my character is standing outside with like a pen and a piece of paper going, anything else? Is that all you require? Okay. So we walk away and we gather everything, and we come back, and it's a little sad because it's just, when we walk in, there's just a dead body, and we don't know what happened. Wasn't there one of the people in the house still?
No, it was the dead father and the healer. She was in there.
Oh, okay, saying we don't know what happened. Like, we have no idea. I don't know. I walked in, and everyone, he was dead. No, we can't find anybody else, so you have to go find them. We don't know where they are, but be careful, because she goes, because sometimes what happens is they turn into, what did she call them?
They're the
blood fiends.
Blood fiends.
That they get turned into blood fiends, and we're like, oh, okay, it's really kind of sad. So as we're walking around town, we find one of the little boys. Not little, because there's no kids in this game. Well, we find one of the sons, and he's like, oh no, my family, and he cries, and he goes back to the tower, or whatever. The next person we find, sadly, did not make it. They were a blood fiend, and it was depressing. We killed them. Then we found the daughter, and she was like, oh, my family, and she, goes back to the tower, and then we finally find the mother, and she also is a blood fiend. So we get them, and we go back to the tower. At the tower, we go inside, and we're talking to them, and we're trying to figure out what happened, and they're saying that a blood fiend, a monster, tore into their house because they thought that this person was there to help them. So they opened the door, and as soon as they opened the door, they were just descended upon by this monster that just ripped their father to shreds. And we hear a voice, and a door unlocks, and the healer walks in. And that's when, this brother and the sister are like, no, get away from us, it's you, you're a monster, you did this. And the healer's just like, ah. No idea why, doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, well, the healer was the blood fiend, that's what it is. So we had to find her, and we let her go. We did.
It turns out she was a vampire, wasn't she? Because when we eventually found her later, she had the bloodshot eyes and that...
The white skin.
Yeah, thing.
I don't think she knew she was infected. She's just always hungry.
Yeah, and she said that she will make sure that she goes far away where no one can ever find her, and she will never harm anyone ever again. So we let her go. We let her go.
That's all we did for questing for this week, but we spent the last 3 or 4 days in Cyrodiil. We've got every single Sky Shard in Cyrodiil, as well as almost all of the dungeons cleared. and almost everything on. I think there's like 5 or 6 things if I looked on my Cyrodiil map that we're still missing that we'll probably go in this week and get. But yeah, that's what we did. But like, we didn't have a lot for story, but we did a lot this week. And I gotta tell you, all those skill points are awesome. So we got every single one in Cyrodiil. All right. Well, that's gonna be the end of our Tales section. We're gonna move on to our next section, which is the dramatic reading. We're continuing the lore book set, Shadowfen lore. And this week will be the 4th and 5th books in the series. They are The Fair Argonian Maiden, which is actually just a small poem, and Freedom's Price.
I don't know if I'm going to make it through Freedom's Price. Okay, Fair Argonian Maiden. Come, my lad, let us speak. Come, fair maid, let us talk. Scale to scale, tip to tip, fair maiden, hissed maiden, and sap-drenched lad. The next one is Freedom's Price. Gold exchanged hands, making the deal complete. Makes many waves, belong to a new master. Zindrasta Laris watched as her newest acquisition joined the group she'd already purchased. She stared so long at Makes Many Waves that she drew the Argonian's eyes to hers. They both looked away quickly, almost instantly. Eye contact between master and slave would be punished by 10 lashes. The distance between market and house was no more than 7 miles, but it seemed an eternity to Zindrasta. She'd counted the years impatiently until she could set up her own household and bring Makes Many Waves home. Send the rest to the field house, Zindrasta said. Her footman assisted her from her horse. I want that one. She waved a hand towards Make Many Waves, brought to my sitting room. She'll be my personal assistant. As you wish, madam. Pulling her gloves off as she strode into her home, Zindrasta laughed. Finally, yes, it will be exactly as I wish. How long since she'd felt her lover's lips pressed against hers, shared in desperate, guilty caresses whenever they could steal away together. How she'd suffered once their intimacy became known. As though Zindrasta thought bitterly, seeing her beloved sold through the Arcanes hadn't been punishment enough. Time passed with deadly slowness from that moment, until Zindrasta finally located Makes Many Waves and brought her back. This time, no one could separate them. They belonged together. The door opened, and Makes Many Waves stepped forward, eyes downcast becomingly. Zindrasta walked past her, shut and locked the door, then turned. I've missed you, she said softly. In a moment they locked in a passionate embrace, Zindrasta touching Makes Many Waves' scales gently, searchingly. Did they torture you, darling? I swear they'll pay. Makes Many Waves shook her head, her frilled spine fluttering. Seeing you heals me, my love. But the Arcanes, you're safe. Those traitors won't touch you again, Zindrasta said. Listen, my love, Makes Many Waves said. Your parents paid the Arcanes very, very well. Their eyes are everywhere. They'll know you bought me, and they'll come for me. I'll free you, Zindrasta replied. You'll be safe. It's not like that, the Argonian whispered. The Arcanes don't care whether Argonians they sell are free or not. To live together safely, we must leave Morrowind. I see. Now kiss me. As darkness approached, Zindrasta and Makes Many Waves began their journey, heading northwest toward the border with Skyrim. Is Riften safe? Makes Many Waves whispered. They'd travel several days out of their way to shake off any possible followers. Before Zindrasta could speak, an arrow pierced her throat. She clutched at it with one hand. Her eyes widened in surprise. More arrows followed swiftly, killing the dark elf long before she slid to the ground. You're free now, said an Argonian archer stepping from the shadows. Makes Many Waves stared at him, unable to speak or move. Did she hurt you? He asked, coming closer. You can return to Black Marsh now. You're no longer a slave. Collapsing across Zindrasta's body, Makes Many Waves sobbed.
Are you alright over there?
No, I'm not.
Are you sure?
That is so sad. Alright, you talk. I'm gonna cry.
All right. Yeah, she did cry when she first read that book in game too. So, yeah. And it looks like TS Fangirl might be tearing up a little bit too because you see chat.
It's just, it's such an amazing story, and that stupid Argonian thought he was helping, but he wasn't.
Well, I mean, most Dark Elves were slavers. So.
I can see that, but I'm glad TES Fangirl is crying too, because my heart is breaking right now.
You both are Argonian lovers. That's what it is. All right. Well, there you go. Now you see, just as I say about Elder Scrolls, there is no happy ending. It's just sad and sadder. That's how it goes.
That's definitely one of the sadder ones. Like, in my head, all I can picture them is reaching freedom and finally being able to be together, and just the love that these two shared. Not only being able to overcome the slave and master, but to overcome such a race boundary between Argonian and Dark Elf. It's just... I'm sorry.
And see, this is what happens when you read Argonian lore. They're either killed or they sacrifice themselves to save trees. So there's no happy Argonian lore.
No.
Ever. All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is the Guild Corner. Deltia, what do you got to say about your guild?
I got to put my Kleenexes away. Hold on. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Now, what? That was the Lusty Argonian? That was that story?
No.
That's Freedom's Price.
Yeah,
Lusty Argonian
the
is
funny
actually,
one, right? Yeah.
That's funny, yeah.
That was a pretty good story, yeah. My guild, Harder Contact, doing basically Dragonstar Arena on Friday nights, progression. So now we're going to start veteran mode. If you're looking to get on a team or a small team, that's the sort of thing we do. You can contact me in-game at Deltia. And then also Cyrodiil Saturdays, and then we're doing stuff with Akatosh, the ESO TR Guild. So lots of stuff going on, usually Monday through Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, excellent. And then, of course, if anyone's interested in joining the Tales of Tamriel Friends and Family Guild, you can either contact myself, that's Aggelos, A-G-G-E-L-O-S, in-game, or at Tear Eater, T-E-A-R-E-A-T-R, in-game. Just a guild, you can chat with all the hosts, because we're all there. Chat with other lovers of the game and fans of the show and everything like that. Maybe even possible lovers of Argonians. Who knows? There you go. All right. We're going to go into our final section, which is our emails. We only had one this week, and it's from our friend Stelden. So Steldian. There we go.
If I can choke it out. Hey guys, great show yet again. Sadly, I had some PC issues, so had to watch most of it another time. Just wanted to throw in a few things with regards to the show, but before I do, thanks for the shout out about the VR dungeon training camp. Firstly, regarding the loyalty pet and leaving it in your mail from the devs do not expire. The 30 days never count down. I still have my Imperial Edition stuff in my mail, and it will stay there until pets take no space.
I stand corrected. I thought they were gone.
Yep, so did I.
Yeah, cool.
PvP forward camps. I actually would play in that special campaign. Sure, they are convenient, but also make fights silly, as it is endless respawn. Run in, die, respawn. Forward camps have basically just turned Cyrodiil into a giant-sized arena, at which point may as well remove it and put in PvP arenas. The whole idea of Cyrodiil being vague was so that fights would spread out, and killing people actually meant one step closer to victory. At the moment, the issue is not so much that dying doesn't matter, it is that killing doesn't either. Without camps, small groups can actually cut off reinforcement lines, helping protect their castle without being part of the giant Zerg. Currently, you cannot, because people just respawn right by the action. As a small group or alone, your best bet is to join the inevitable Zerg that forms at a siege, or hope you can prey on straggling PvEers in the zone. Heck, no one even bothers rezzing in PvP either because of the forward camps being so conveniently close. I see why people would hate to lose the camps. They do make it easy to jump into the action, and that is good, especially if not on long. So it makes no sense to universally remove them, but a trope host did mention a separate special server for no camps, and I think that is a good idea. After all, we have special event sections with no real special campaigns in it. Forward Camp Eternal Bum Rush gets old fast for some, so a special campaign for them would be good. Big fan of champion points. Reminds me of alternative advancement points in EverQuest 1, which is a system which pretty much kept me in the game for 6 years. Similar to that, the early points give the biggest gains, so getting the big boosts do not take long, but further enhancement is much smaller.
You know what this reminds me of? Not only the alternate advancement, but the soul attunement in Rift, where you continue to be able to get these attunement points and just gradually increase your stats. Just little bits, like 1% more fire, 1% more crit, just things like that.
As a result, yes, you can spend weeks farming the Thief for more points faster, for the sake of 0.1% increase per point. It really is not worth the tedium. 0.1% is a nice little boost when you get through just doing your day-to-day things, but really isn't worth farming for. If you played EverQuest 1, the system makes sense. It's a little more complex, but fundamentally it is the same, and it worked brilliantly. Rift also brought out its planar attunement, which is a similar thing. That also helped keep the game worth playing.
Just so you know, I skimmed over this email. I didn't know he actually mentioned planar attunement.
I don't like the system we have now because it is boring. You get nothing for your game time. I am VR 14. Why am I playing the game? I craft the best gear, so no point in doing any content for that. I cannot progress my character at all because I am level cap. Where's my carrot? All I am doing is goofing around for the sake of it. If the game stayed as is, then what is there to stay for? At the moment, I actually wait for a VR level cap change because it gives something to do. More VR caps will have all sorts leave the game because they hate VR. So the champion system is what I am waiting eagerly for, more than anything else they have revealed so far. That's it for me. Look forward to the next podcast, though I will be away, so sadly I cannot listen live.
Oh.
Sad Zors.
Sad Zors. I do agree, and I've done alternate advancement systems, and they excite me.
I like
the
Rift.
planar attunement, that's what the champion system essentially
Well,
is.
we really enjoyed Rift, but for some reason the champion system still seems so much more convoluted than a system that easy.
Well,
But I won't know until I see it.
Some people won't. But the fact, like you said, just doing your day-to-day makes you just a little bit stronger. Yeah, you can grind for it, but the amount of effort you have to put forward doesn't necessarily worth it, you know? Like, you'll just be slightly better. I like it. And as I said, biggest gains come early, so your people who've been playing for years versus new players, there won't be a huge gap once they get those early bonuses, maybe only a couple %. But they will still be stronger because they've been playing for years. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Delta, you have anything to say about Esteldian's email?
Oh, many things. You ready?
You want to go into it? Go for it.
First off, he makes a lot of great points. He's very well thought out, and he has a lot of experience in MMOs. They're awesome points. I want to touch on the forward camp problem in Cyrodiil. He makes a bunch of great points once again. The problem with the game's PvP system, forward camps are a problem. I definitely get that. Because I don't know if you guys know what troll camps are. Essentially, if you set up a forward camp, people will get on their a separate account, level attuned to 10, and then drop a forward camp where they don't want the enemy to go, and then no one can go in there. So they just screw over the other alliance. People do that. It's disgusting. That's what troll camps are. There's a lot of problems with Cyrodiil. The main problem is, I would love for there to be a no forward camp campaign if there was a fast way to do PvP. There's not. Just like he said, I can run into the Zerg, I don't have to be with a big huge coordinated group, and I can play for hours just dinking around like a zombie. That's great. But if I want 4 or 5 hours with a well-coordinated team, no forward camps would be perfect. Right now you can't have both. I think the biggest solution, the best solution will be Imperial City. Once that comes out, it'll be a fast way to jump in, and then you can have Cyrodiil be the really open world, awesome environment-based, objective-based PvP that they were hoping it to be. So for me, he has some great points, but right now I just can't get into Cyrodiil without forward camps. It's just too convenient, too fun to go mindlessly doing the Zerg thing. I think there's a couple things that could change it, but ultimately forward camps need to go away in their current position. And And one thing I'm going to say real quick, I know you guys, check out my builds and stuff. If you're into PvP and you haven't played a Sorcerer yet, this next build is going to show you how to Zerg bomb. Take out a Zerg solo by yourself. So, Zergs exist. Let me one more ramble. The reason Zergs exist, there's AoE caps. What does this mean? It means you can only hit 6 people with an AoE attack. What people do is they gather up in groups of 12. That way it's random who gets hit. They spread the damage and they spread the healing. You can't die. And it just becomes a battle of whose Zerg is bigger. That's why PvP is broken, is the caps allow for people to clump up, literally stack on top of each other, spam 2 abilities. Impulse, Healing Spring, you can't